Hi, Zizaran here with another video, and I have made a raw video of me going through all the patch notes and reading everything, but this is going to be like a succinct TLDR and my overall thoughts on the patch notes as well. They were obviously a little bit disappointing and short. There was like no or very little balance changes. It's not entirely true because we are getting new support gems and stuff, and they're very exciting, but we don't have the numbers on those yet. So, as a quick TLDR, I think the patch notes are better than most people think in a way that like they're not that bad, but they're not that good either. There's like nothing crazy to be excited about. And it's more of like a, yeah, I mean, I've been enjoying the last few leagues of PoE, so I'm probably going to enjoy this league. But there's nothing where I'm going like, holy shit, I can't wait for Friday. So let's talk about it. The endgame meta is most likely going to be very different, right? That's going to be similar to the past few leagues where the league starters have been very stale, very samey for every league now. But tattoos is going to change that a lot. The fact that they're bringing in the tattoos, I wonder if there's going to be like laser removal for the tattoos, or if this is permanent and you just like have a tattoo that you can't get rid of. Like, what if you regret it? Do you just have to make a new character? Permanent choice, not very good at PoE. Sanctum was my
Okay, that's funny. um, I do agree with the patch notes being not that bad, but not that good either. I think that I said this before. I think the biggest issue has always been the fact that we've been told about meta shakeups and go home early from ExileCon, big changes, it's coming. And my problem has been more about the expectations because of previous statements about the patch notes, which made them disappointing to me. But I did, like many others, expect them to be short because they've said that they want to have big changes every second league, and then every other second league, lower amount changes. Sorry about that, my throat's fucking up. So like they're gonna have like smaller change every second league and big change every second league, right?
my favorite league ever, and that didn't have like a crazy shakeup for like starters. But the end game was very, very different, and we are getting Sanctum back this league. That is very exciting to me, and the Sanctum uniques. So first, let's talk about skill balance. There is none. There is a big lack of changes here. There were some nerfs to poison, which is really good, especially the ailment helmet mod. That felt very mandatory on every single poison build. And I think that's what they should do. Whenever something feels mandatory, or when you feel dumb for not doing something, then it absolutely justifies a nerf, right? Poison totems, for those that wanted to play with those on standard, got nuked. It got divided by 20, so I believe that's a 95% nerf. Temp chains got nerfed a bit as well. And honestly, both of these things were really good. Temp chains and the helmet mod felt very, very mandatory. And mandatory things are bad in PoE, right? Like, I like to say that the Atlas passives is what they've done the best in the game because it's such a hard choice. Like, if you're opening up one streamer and asking what their passive tree is and you go to another one, they're probably not going to have anywhere remotely near a tree. And you very rarely see some tree that you're like, oh, this is objectively bad. You can pretty much always understand, like, oh, this is what that player likes, and I see why they're taking it. That's good design. I would have liked to see a bit more of a shakeup. Bows are in a pretty good spot, so they didn't need to nerf bows now, but maybe, like, I don't know, nerfing poison a little bit. Buffing bleed, I would have liked to see the bleed buff. And changing it up a bit. I was hoping maybe some sort of Inquisitor buff. I love Inquisitor.
I really do hope that he mentions minions in this. I really do. Like, I know, like, it's kind of a meme. Everyone's just talking about. As soon as anything has to do with minions, to mention me in this. I think that, like, the meta shaker felt very, very strict and very limited, rather, where the poison were the ones that were mandatory, were being dropped down. But we have to keep in mind that when it comes to the meta shakeups, the only shakeup that really happened was Vengeance Cascade, right? And then on top of that, it was minions. And why I say minions is because we've had a very long period now where necromancers have been vastly superior compared to guardians or science for the ascendancy choices, hard locking us into this very simple template for the vast majority of minion builds being necromancers. So the changes to the guardian, which we still need more information about, is very likely going to present us with an opportunity where a lot of minion builds are going to be guardians to split that, so we finally have a lot more diversification and just general diversifying the actual choices of minion builds, which is a really good shakeup in the way the builds are presented, because the guardian design is slightly different than the necromancer on its core fundamental basics of the skill tree. So I'm actually very excited for that personally. But again, I do agree that the patch notes were kind of underwhelming. But I also believe that the shakeup is happening in the background, and maybe to some categories of the game that most people don't really think about. But for minions, it actually could potentially be big, but we don't know that till we have all the info.
Sure. But yeah, some specific archetype needs love. Archmage would be cool to see some love, and yeah, more melee changes. I
That's
really
true.
enjoyed slams when we had the Impaler. I think that was very cool. So more things like that. League starters are going to be very similar to before. One change, I will maybe be making a chieftain sort of like tutorial build guide for like completely new players. We'll be very honest, like this is going to drop off super hard. It's just like a good day 1 to 3, get a nice start, understand the game if you're completely new. It'll be good for that. Pretty much nothing else. The fact that chieftain is unchanged in Ruthless says pretty much all. I thought I was misunderstanding something. However,
It's funny that he says that because Guardian was not changed for Ruthless either, right? To that degree. And that just seems crazy to me with the minions and stuff like that. And it just sounds to me like Guardian's going to be absolutely jacked for Ruthless, for the ones that likes that. And our Crip is all about it for that matter.
everything to do with like endgame and stuff, tattoos are going to change that a lot. We're also getting all the uniques back from Sanctum. So I think the meta will still be pretty exciting in the end game. We'll still see like people coming up with crazy builds and new builds pop up, and there are new support gems and stuff. We just don't have the numbers for it. So that is pretty exciting. It's just the stale elite starter meta, which is pretty important to a lot of people and sad. Now, a lot of people are surprised about Ruthless. There were a lot of Ruthless changes, and a lot of people are upset about it. Last time, Chris said, we've already done a lot of Ruthless changes, but we didn't put it in.
Oh my god.
Already done a lot of Ruthless changes, but we didn't put it in this time because if we put too many Ruthless changes in, people will be upset. So this is 2 leagues worth of Ruthless changes, and it might look like a lot of lines, but if you're looking at it, it's mostly just removing stuff, right? It's just nerfing, removing stuff. There's not like anything that takes a lot of time here, right? You're just like opening a notepad and going delete that, no fun there. Honestly, it's fine. It's I've been very anti-Ruthless, and I still am. I might try it this league if I can rope some other streamers like Steel into trying it with me. But yeah, it is something that doesn't look like it's taking a lot of time, right? It's not like they've added anything special for Ruthless. I was particularly upset last week because the event was in Ruthless, and don't really want to play Ruthless, but still, I think people are reacting a little bit on the Ruthless things. Coming from me as someone that just hates Ruthless. Conclusion overall, very short. Nothing that I'm like giga excited about. I'm just enjoying the game. Like the last Crucible, there wasn't anything crazy, so I played like a month and a half. I can't remember how much I played. The game itself is in a good state, so it's all gonna come down to the new uniques, getting Sanctum back and how Sanctum feels, and whether the auto battler is fun, the new league. Straight up, I don't know. Like, this gives me Blight vibes. I didn't like Blight. Then again, I thought Blight was going to be amazing, so I guess the opposite of Blight. I love that they're doing stuff like this. I love that they're doing really weird ideas in ARPGs that haven't been done before and trying out different game modes. I don't know if it'll be good or not, but I love it. I love that they're trying stuff like that. And I think the fact
that's something that GGG's always been really good at. Like, they've always been willing to take that leap of faith, if you will, throw themselves off that tall building. They're playing Assassin's Creed, and landing in a little haystack and surviving. It's just sometimes they miss the haystack, but more often than not, they do hit it, and I think that's very admirable, and I think that's really cool to see. I do agree that it's giving like the Blight vibes. I wasn't personally a big fan of Blight either. I am a big fan of auto battlers in general, and I do like TD games. The problem with Blight for me was that it ended up being in a position where you just ignore the towers, just kill everything yourself, and you'd be fine. Whereas I think that we're going to end up in a position where you're just going to ignore the mechanic and just bum rush the enemy totems, kill them, and you're done. And I think that's going to be a really annoying situation. And I have no idea how they plan on preventing that from being the way you play the game. So I think that it will be fun in the start, but once you reach that point where your character's gear progression is at the point where you can achieve that state of play style, that's going to limit the enjoyment from the league mechanics, similar to how it felt for me with Blight.
The fact that season 1 of Diablo 4 was so bad for me that it's made me a lot more tolerant. I'm like, you know what, just like Keep updating the game. Just keep doing what you're doing. I'm appreciating PoE a lot more after that because they obviously have a huge team and a huge budget, and their season 1 was very lackluster. So hopefully season 2 of Diablo 4 will be better. But either way, I will be posting League starters. We'll be collabing with other streamers, and some of the ones we're looking into right now is going to be some form of chieftain, maybe like a super basic like armor brand cremation thing, because that's like, going to be a really good starter. It'll be hopefully able to kill the eater and exarch, but then fall off after that. We'll have cold dot. We're looking at toxic rain. We're looking at bone zone. Explosive arrow and detonate dead is the ones we're looking at so far.
Wait, what about dominating blow? Come on, sis.
And then we'll have collabs with other creators that want to do that as well to make sure we're bringing you the best starters. But either way, hope you guys are excited about the league start. Thanks for watching. So if you liked the video, we have a new membership thing on YouTube if you want to support the YouTube content and you feel like that helps your league start more. And yeah, try to die less than I do.
It's nice. I'll link this video. That's a good video. If too many people are so negative about it, I think this was a good video in general.